Hello, welcome to SOTI Research. My name is Steve Ragan.
And I'm Martin McKeay.
SOTI Research is a more focused, condensed version of the State of the Internet Security Report. And for this edition, we'd like to look at how 2020, or more particularly the COVID-19 pandemic, affected the Internet as well as Akamai as a whole.
You know, Steve, I don't think anybody is ever going to forget this year. And it had major changes on almost every aspect of our life.
Yep.
But one of the earliest questions we got is the internet going to melt down? Is the internet going to be able to survive this? And the answer was then and now, yes, we can survive it, but it wasn't without growing pains.
Yeah.
The thing is that we as a company saw a 30% growth in our internet traffic just last April. That's like a year's worth of growth in 1 month. And that 30%, that sort of became our growth rate for 2020. Now, that hit a peak on November 11th, 2020. We hit an all-time record of 180 terabits per second. This represents 97% above what our normal baseline is at that time, and we continue to see growth since then. Now, when you and I talked about this report, one of the things that we wanted to see was, okay, what is Akamai doing? How are we doing this for ourselves? How are we handling it? And we were lucky enough that we are using some of our own products. We are actually working with the enterprise security team internally, and they had the data that we could use to look at what our traffic was and what we saw as a company, because it's really hard to look at some of our customers' data and use their names.
It is. And the thing is, realistically, it's really rare to see a company talk about their own internal security. So in order to break that rarity, let me explain some things. Akamai uses layered defenses, and one of those defenses is Enterprise Threat Protector, or ETP. And for this report, what we did was we got the block logs out of ETP, and we examined those. So when we talk about blocks, this is what we're referencing. It's all the things that ETP stopped. Anybody who's ever worked in IT or security, you know that users will inadvertently click a link, they'll open a malicious attachment or potentially harmful attachment, or they'll visit a website that, unbeknownst to them in the background, is trying to make connections to known malicious things or potentially harmful things. It happens. When it comes to these types of events, ETP stops them, and that's what we're looking at today. So to get down into the numbers, in 2020, Akamai saw 109 billion DNS queries, and of those, 21 million of them were malicious. Overall, that's about 299 million DNS queries per day. And when we look at the pool of malicious queries, we get a further breakdown. So what that was is 4.9 million queries that were flagged as C2 or command and control events, 10 million related to malware, 6 million related to phishing, and 561,000 related to DNS exfiltration. But again, these are all blocks. This is just what was blocked by ETP. And so when we look at that, what we realize is, while we all had to adapt and change in 2020, the criminals didn't. They kept right up with what they were doing, and their attacks only got stronger. They didn't go away.
Well, that's an excellent breakdown, Steve. Thank you very much for bringing that to us.
Thanks for having me on.
I'm Martin McKeay, and you've been listening to myself and Steve Ragan. As always, you can find the State of the Internet research paper at akamai.com/SOTI. Thank you again.